Welcome to the Three Martini Lunch. Grab a stool next to Greg Columbus of Radio America and Jim Garrity of National Review. Three Martinis coming up.
Very glad you're with us for the Wednesday edition of the Three Martini Lunch. Jim Garrity is away. Here in his place once again today is Jon Gabriel, the undisputed king of stuff. He's also a columnist for the Arizona Republic and Discourse Magazine through the Mercatus Center. He's also the author of the very good and very successful debut novel, Sink the Rising Sun. And as we found out yesterday, he is now hard at work on the sequel. Jon, plenty to talk about today. Great to have you with us again.
Always great to be here.
Well, let's talk about the carnage in New York City. We knew it was going to be really bad one way or the other, depending on who won. But we also know we'd have some good news, depending on who didn't win in New York City. Turns out the ranked choice nonsense did not actually play a factor here. Even though Zohran Mamdani did not get to 50% in the first round, it's pretty clear he's going to get there. He had a decisive win over Andrew Cuomo in the first round. And so the good news here, of course, Jon, is that Andrew Cuomo is not going to be the next mayor of New York City. The guy was a complete disgrace as governor, from the nursing home scandal to all the groping to malfeasance in a number of different ways. The bad news is that we've got an avowed Marxist and a guy who thinks globalizing the Intifada is just fine and wants the government to basically run everything. So a couple of quick quotes here, and then we'll get your thoughts on all this. First of all, here's Andrew Cuomo last night conceding defeat.
Tonight was not our night. Tonight was Assemblyman Mamdani's night, and he put together a great campaign, and he touched young people and inspired them and moved them and got them to come out and vote.
Cuomo's really got to stop obsessing about touching people. I think that's what got him into trouble in the first place here. But here is Zohran Mamdani's absolutely pie-in-the-sky vision for New York City.
Where rent-stabilized apartments are actually stabilized. Where buses are fast and free. Where childcare doesn't cost more than CUNY. And where public safety keeps us truly safe. And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism, to stop mass ICE agents from deporting our neighbors, and to govern our city as a model for the Democratic Party.
Did you hear what he was most excited about? Trump resistance. Raise that fist. Yeah, he wants to freeze rents, have city-run grocery stores, free buses somehow, no-cost childcare somehow, a $30 minimum wage, and no more private insurance. Other than that, it's going to be great in New York City if he wins.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is the plot of one of those Batman movies with Bane being the villain. I can't remember what the name of that one was, but yeah, this is just garden variety leftism. A guy who wants to turn New York City into some kind of a Ivy League college campus, except one that doesn't prosecute people for wanting to globalize the Intifada. It's just absolutely insane that any voter would pick this gentleman, and for him to win by a convincing margin, as you were saying at the beginning. This wasn't a squeaker by any means. Yes, we know Cuomo is not a good person, to say the least. COVID kind of revealed him, as well as him blaming his groping women on, hey, I'm Italian. Hey, what you gonna do? This is the way of my people. I'm like, sorry, I know plenty of Italians who weren't groping a whole bunch of people. Yeah, Mamdani is just an absolute disaster. He isn't elected yet, but my gosh, you're the Democrat. You've won the Democratic nomination. It's not like you're going to get a libertarian running in there as a third party. I can't believe I'm saying this, but hopefully the stable, calm, rational leadership of Eric Adams, hopefully the New Yorkers will pick that. It's just amazing. These clowns are in contention for running New York City, the greatest city in America, the greatest city in the world, one would think. And these people just want to crash it into the carrier deck. It's just really madness out there.
No, it really is. And we'll talk about the general election in just a second. But in terms of Cuomo, this is a guy who 5 years ago, as he held these self-aggrandizing daily COVID briefings, the mainstream media fawning all over the guy. And you probably remember this, John. There were whisper campaigns even then that Biden couldn't end up being the nominee. And they thought about slipping Cuomo in potentially in at the convention. That didn't end up happening, of course. Then by the middle of 2021, he's out the door. It's not for forcing people into nursing homes and killing people in nursing homes with COVID transmitted from those previous people infected. It's the groping. It's the book deal that was very shady. It's the working with his brother there on CNN and all that stuff. But however it happened, he's finally gone. And even though it's very difficult to see this Marxist become the Democratic nominee, celebrating the demise of Andrew Cuomo's political career, hopefully forever, is worth at least pausing to mention today.
Yeah. And also, too, the entire Cuomo legacy. I just still remember, I think it was throughout the 90s, hearing about Mario Cuomo and what a genius he is and how brilliant he is and how he should run for president instead of fill in the Democratic candidate. It was usually Bill Clinton. But he was always praised and promised to be a Democratic savior for president, but he never ended up running. Now his son is out on his ear, which is always a good thing to see.
There's more than a few people who think that the reason neither one of them ran is because that would bring a lot more scrutiny on their actual records and how they got business done in New York. And that's probably what they didn't want, and that's why they didn't run.
Exactly.
So he also ran a lackluster campaign. He seemed entitled to the nomination for a long time, didn't take anybody else really seriously, even as the momentum seemed to shift. But as you mentioned, Mamdani is going to be a heavy favorite in the fall. You've got the current mayor, Adams, who's now running as an independent. He's not very popular at all. And of course, you've got Curtis Sliwa, who won the Republican nomination last night, but also not expected to be a strong threat. Two things you can say about Curtis Sliwa. He loves New York, which I'm not sure you can say at all about Mamdani, and he's not a communist. So whichever one, Adams or Sliwa, has the better chance, I think some consolidation might be in order here, and I'm still not sure it'd be enough to stop Mamdani.
Exactly. And Curtis Sliwa, it's time you can retire the red beret that you're wearing everywhere. You've been doing that since the 70s. Just set that aside. I don't know. I was going to say put on a suit, but maybe a Mao jacket for the New York electorate might be better.
Gosh. And so there's already, jokes about U-Hauls and moving out of the city and all this stuff, because once Mamdani decides to, quote unquote, tax the rich and have all this free stuff, we know it's going to happen. I mean, New York City voters rejected communism after 8 brutal years of Bill de Blasio, and their memories are pretty short because 4 years later, they're back to this guy. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's just this death wish. And living in Arizona, we see it with our leftward neighbor, California. Is just like, boy, every election, it's like, what are you people thinking? You're just destroying yourselves. But they seem happy to do so. So best of luck to you, and congratulations, real estate agents in every state that isn't New York or California. Real estate agents in Florida, definitely, but even Jersey, even Connecticut will look like a rational, sane, conservative governance if you're stuck in New York City itself. You're going to want to get out pretty soon here.
New York City residents, there is one stipulation if you're thinking about moving to a red state. You must leave your politics in New York. We don't want your politics in the red states. There's a reason they're more attractive than the blue states. There's a reason you're leaving, and it's probably because of your vote. If you're a red voter, then you know that you've just been overwhelmed by the other side, and you are more than welcome in red states because we can
absolutely. Put on some training wheels, figure out how politics and economics works, then you can start voting.
Perfect segue, Mr. Gabriel, because when it comes to policy, economics, foreign policy, figuring out how those things work can seem mysterious. Let's talk about foreign policy for a minute. Some people think it's just way too complicated for me to understand. I'll just listen to whatever experts these TV networks and channels put on, and I guess they'll explain it to me. It doesn't have to be that way. You can understand it, and thanks to Hillsdale College and their new American Foreign Policy course, you can learn how America should make decisions with a view towards securing equal natural rights of American citizens, as well as analyze and understand the matters of war and peace that affect us all. It's a 9-lecture series, and again, it's free. You'll learn the principles that guided the foreign policy of the American founders, the importance of the Monroe Doctrine, and they'll walk you all the way up through World War I, the Cold War, even the global war on terrorism right up till today. Hillsdale College offers more than 40 free online courses. That's right, free. Learn about the United States Constitution, the stories in the book of Genesis, the rise and fall of the Roman Republic, and much, much more. Go right now to hillsdale.edu/martini to enroll in this course, American Foreign Policy. There's no cost, and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/martini to enroll for free. All right, John, on to our good martini. The first one was kind of a mixed martini. Cuomo gone, but unfortunately the rise of Mamdani is upon us in New York City. But we have another good follow-up in relation to the U.S. strikes on Iran. And we had talked earlier in the week about what Iran's responses might be. So far, we've gotten a pretty perfunctory response with the missile strike at the U.S. base in Qatar. No injuries whatsoever. But we also talked about cyber attacks and maybe even activating some sleeper cells. Well, if that was the plan, that got a lot harder for Iran over the last 48 hours. The Free Beacon reporting that immigration authorities have arrested 16 Iranian nationals, including a former member of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, with ties to Hezbollah, mind you, a former Iranian army sniper, and a third individual on the terrorist watch list in a multi-state operation since Sunday. The arrests spanning 8 states and 9 cities nationwide come as the DHS has activated its National Terrorism Advisory System following the strike on Iran. So, John, it's a little bit disconcerting that they hadn't been apprehended to this point, but at least we're on it now. And hopefully, if there were any nefarious plans, these arrests are helping to nip them in the bud, as Barney Fife would say.
Yeah, it's good to see. You usually hear about people on the watch list after they do something horrible. So it's good to see them being proactive here with these possible sleeper agents. What I liked is the sniper guy got caught and he was carrying an ID that says, "Hi, I'm from the Iranian army and I'm a sniper." Maybe not carry that around in your wallet. I don't know, if you're trying to buy beer at the local 7-Eleven, you might want to not show your ID saying that you're an Iranian army sniper. And I do also like that he was caught in Locust Fork, Alabama. It was just like, dude, what do you think you're going to do there? Don't even go into a Waffle House there. Don't stop by the Sonic Drive-In. I think you're going to be completely outgunned, despite your training. But it's good to see federal law enforcement just actually on it for once. As I said, you always hear about this after some horrible, tragic mass shooting. Oh yeah, we've been watching them for 3 years or something like that. So it's good to roll these guys up early. I'm thankful that the Trump administration is thinking of the national defense in this, so we aren't grieving some tragedy later on when we know these people are in the country. Biden, frankly, let so many of these people in, and this is why you don't have unchecked immigration.
Exactly right. And hopefully more of these folks are rounded up. But the other thing we know is that Iran loves proxies, whether it's Yemen, whether it's Hamas, Hezbollah, that sort of thing. So they will recruit people outside of Iranians. And so we have a lot of people who came into this country from a lot of different countries who could be up to no good, not necessarily just from Iran. So hopefully all those people are on the radar, dozens and dozens, if not more, on the terrorist watch list that came in over the years. Well, as you're navigating all these headlines, it might be good to take a deep breath. And if you need more help than that, it might be good to talk to someone who can help you work through it. This is an ad by BetterHelp. And right now, people are facing a lot of different stresses. It could be what they're seeing in the headlines every single day. It could be what they're dealing with in your family. It could be what you're dealing with at work. Whatever it is, talk to somebody you trust. And if that's not quite getting you where you want to be, talk to an expert, and that's where BetterHelp can come in with more than 35,000 therapists. It's the world's largest online therapy platform, having served more than 5 million people around the world. And it works with an App Store rating of 4.9 out of 5 based on more than 1.7 million client reviews. Again, as the largest online therapy provider in the world, BetterHelp can provide access to mental health professionals with a diverse variety of expertise. Talk it out with BetterHelp. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/3ml. That's better, HELP.com/3ml.
Is financial independence like dieting or losing weight?
The Watchdog on Wall Street podcast with Chris Markowski. Every day, Chris helps unpack the connection between politics and the economy and how it affects your wallet.
Being financially independent is simple, but it's not easy. The number one rule is you gotta let materialism go to the wayside. Don't let spending money or shopping be your favorite pastime.
Whether it's happening in DC or down on Wall Street, it's affecting you financially. Be informed. Check out the Watchdog on Wall Street podcast with Chris Markowski on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast.
All right, Jon, on to our crazy martini now, and a completely predictable crazy martini, if that's not an oxymoron. You mentioned the state to your left, literally and figuratively, a little while ago, California. Perhaps still the most influential politician from the Golden State is Nancy Pelosi, even though she's no longer in the leadership, at least not officially. But one of the things she's become very well known for is her uncanny, savvy ability to work her investments. She and her husband. The New York Post with the latest details on this, Jon. They say she might be the she-wolf of Wall Street. Nancy Pelosi raked in between $7.8 and $42.5 million in 2024, meaning her estimated net worth with venture capitalist hubby Paul Pelosi could now top out at $413 million. The staggering sum is an eye-popping jump from 2023, when financial disclosures showed the couple's net worth topping out at a possible $370 million. Now, they only have to disclose ranges, which are obviously very, very wide here, so Pelosi's exact net worth is not known. But let's talk about how she's made this money. First of all, they do have a Napa Valley winery. They own a political data and consulting firm, but their investments are the ones that have gotten a lot of attention, and that's why Missouri Senator Josh Hawley named the bill banning stock trades literally the Pelosi Act. Because lately, Nancy and her husband Paul dumped 5,000 shares of Microsoft stock worth an estimated $2.2 million in July, one of their largest sales in years, just a few short months before the Federal Trade Commission announced an antitrust investigation into the tech giant. They also sold 2,000 shares worth an estimated $525,000 of Visa stock less than 3 months before that credit card company was hit with a Department of Justice monopoly lawsuit. So it's just amazing how she's got these instincts to dump this stock right before these companies get in trouble.
Yeah, it is. Pelosi is just the poster child for people not trusting their own government. It's hard not to think that the fix is in with, not only her stocks, but there's many elected officials who somehow make these amazing decisions that lead to untold riches for themselves. How so many politicians go to Washington with very modest net worth and then end up being multimillionaires within a few years. It's happened again and again and again. And some kind of reform would be great to see, whether Josh Hawley's plans or someone else's. It's just, this is how people lose trust in their institutions, that you have different sets of rules, different sets of insights to the stock market, and, for elected officials, and people just feeling cheated when, they're doing their daily trading or whatever, trying to get ahead, assessing things and knowing that they just do not have the specialized information that the powers that be have. This is not a free market when you have people, insiders, who can just get filthy rich over these things, and the rest of us cannot access this information.
No, that's entirely true. There were certainly members of Congress, back in about February of 2020, when everyone was saying, there's not going to be any big problem with COVID. They already knew the briefings that were happening. They were dumping stock or buying stock, depending on what they thought was going to happen. And then lo and behold, we do have to shut everything down. And this is a huge deal. And we've seen it in national security issues as well. And so Mikey Sherrill, the Democratic nominee for governor of New Jersey, current Democratic member of the House of Representatives, also made a curiously high amount of money on stock trades in her brief time in Congress. So it's not just Pelosi, and it's not just one party, I would add, either. But like you said, it's the American people. Every time they see this, they know it stinks. They might not be able to prove it right away, but it's obvious that no one's this lucky.
Yeah, at least Pelosi is keeping in touch with us lesser mortals. I, too, of course, own several wineries around the world. And I don't make quite as much money in the stock market, but hopefully she has enough ice cream in her 13 Sub-Zero refrigerators that she likes to brag about. And gosh, I hope the best for her. I'm glad that she is safe in San Francisco while everybody else is in danger, because she can hire enough guards. Maybe she should replace Jim Cramer on CNBC or something like that to share her wisdom about how markets work.
That's the thing, once she actually makes a trade, we don't always find out about it as soon as it happens, of course, but make those public and I guess we'd all get filthy rich, right?
Exactly. What can go wrong? This is how you can fund all these freebies in New York City that are coming down the line. So he can just do the same stock tips as Nancy Pelosi. He'll have plenty of money to give free unicorns to everyone.
That's pretty much the Democratic agenda, and we'll see where it goes from here. Jon, as always, great to have you with us. Thanks for your time, and try to stay cool out there in the desert.
We will. Thanks so much for having me on, Greg. Appreciate it.
You bet, sir. Jon Gabriel is the undisputed king of stuff. Still no dispute whatsoever. He's also a columnist with the Arizona Republic and Discourse Magazine with the Mercatus Center. The book is Sink the Rising Sun, the sequel already underway. I'm Greg Corumbus of Radio America. Thanks so much for being with us today. Please subscribe to the 3 Martini Lunch podcast. If you don't already, tell your friends about us as well. Thanks also for your 5-star ratings and your kind reviews. Get us on your home devices. All you have to say is play 3 Martini Lunch podcast. Follow all 3 of us on X. Jon is at XJon, EXJON. Jim is at Jim Garrity. I'm at Greg Corumbus. Have a great Wednesday and join us again Thursday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.